We keep getting these showers and then the sun will come out, so I've been just working between rain showers. I got the poles up for the trellis. They're kind of cattywampus. For this second succession of sugar snap peas. Now the other is still going here. Problem is that I've got only a single length of seine twine running down the length of between each pole. But the sugar snap peas, I've got one row over here and one row over here spaced 12 inches apart. And so even though I tried to like have them lean against this seine twine in the center, they still just want to lay down on the ground at the bottom. So Tyler suggested that I just take a couple of lengths of 2x2s and put them here. I'm getting eaten alive by no-see-ums. I almost said mosquitoes. No, I'm getting eaten alive by no-see-ums, so I like pulled my shirt up over my head to try and at least keep them off my ears. Okay, so I've got my two rungs with the seine twine running that way and running that way, and then I also have a third level just running straight between the poles. What I did was I ended up spending most of my time trying to retrain this tall row of sugar anns. Maybe tomorrow I can get a couple of levels of seine twine going for the super sugar snaps on this side. Oh, first of all, you might be wondering why I am not in a boat floating around up in Canada like we had planned, and because Margie and Al just flew in on Friday and we are going to be leaving tomorrow, it looks like, unless it pours down rain. We've been getting a lot of kind of rainy weather. I want to talk more about peas, especially as it concerns like selling peas at market. My old peas are not producing as much, and there are not as many flowers on them, and you see the leaves are starting to get older, and my new peas are not ready yet, anywhere near ready yet to make peas. I sold 4 pounds of peas, 10 pounds of peas, 11 pounds of peas, and then 6 pounds of peas. That's per week. And so obviously it's starting to kind of tail off. And so what I was thinking is that really what I need to do is have peas coming on like in 3-week intervals. Because if the last set of peas I was getting 6 pounds, if I was say getting 4 pounds off the next set of peas, then that would be 10 pounds, which I've been selling that much in like the first day that I sell them. So I was even thinking that I really need to almost double what I've been selling. So rather than just 2 rows of peas in that 25-foot bed, I need probably a full 50-foot bed. So I need to set that up when I'm thinking next season how to get those going. Because obviously the first ones I plant out are not going to produce as quickly as a succession that I have coming out later. But even as I'm planting these guys pretty late, they actually may not grow as fast because our day lengths are starting to get shorter. It's going to start to get colder. Oftentimes mid-August we start to get that first feeling of chill, autumn chill in the air. So I got to kind of take that all in consideration. And one thing I didn't do this year is I didn't get my peas planted as starts. I could have started them earlier as starts and put them out, and they would have had a head start. I planted them just direct seeded, which in the past I've actually done them as starts. Peas sell really great here because, well, it's hard to get peas. They're usually, like, if you buy them retail, they're really expensive. And they're oftentimes not very good quality. They're kind of rough, tough, you know? And then there'll be this nice little window when, like, out of Oregon, Washington, they're getting their peas coming on, and they're nice and fresh and big and yummy. And there might even be a bit of a glut, so the price will come down for just a little while. And then it'll get too hot there for them to grow peas, and then they're done with peas, and then you're back to, like, getting them from California or something in the little baggies, and they're really expensive and they're tough. So I could probably sell them for more, but I sell them for $5.95 a pound or $6 a pound, and that's a good price for sugar snap peas, when normally this time of year you would never be able to get peas for that good a price. But I like to keep my prices kind of decent, so people like, wow, this is really awesome, rather than like, oh, well, I guess I could forward some of these peas. Yeah, and so then I like to sell them in bulk if I can. That's what I used to do when I had my little store, and I would bring them up from the lower 48, and I'd get them in 10-pound boxes, and I would just, at the beginning of the day, just toss them into a container, and then later on in the day when I had a little bit more time, and I would take whatever was left and I would bag them up, because anytime you bag something up, it's going to sell. You're going to sell more of it because, say somebody wants just a little handful for a salad that day, they'll just grab a little handful and they'll buy that much. But if all they have an option for is like a 1-pound bag, they'll be like, well, I want sugar snap peas, and maybe I'll just do three salads, and so 3 days worth of sugar snap peas, and so okay, I'll buy that. Sometimes if it's too big, people will be turned off and they'll be like, I just don't want that much sugar snap peas. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll put the peas in a quart bag, and that's about a pound, and that's typically what you would see at a grocery store. And so people are pretty happy to buy that. But in the past, I've also had these little snack size bags, and I would just do some of the peas that size. So in case somebody really, they just wouldn't have bought that much. They're like, forget it, I just don't want that much. But they would buy this much. Some people don't want to buy peas in little plastic bags. They don't want the plastic, and so it's nice to have the bulk, so they can just like, I'll offer paper bags, so a person can put the stuff in their own container, or they can choose a paper bag if they don't want plastic. Another nice option about having bulk, selling bulk, is that you can use one sign for the whole thing. So it'll just say peas, $5.95 a pound, and then people know. Whereas with the bags, you usually would want, you could put a sign in front of all the bags, but it's usually nice to have like an individual price label on each of the bags, so it's not confusing for customers. Another thing is too, like if I'm starting out first off of the day and I have a ton of peas, I put them in a big box so that they look like they're it looks real full, but not so full that everything is going to fall off when people try and get into it, because that can just be frustrating for customers. And if for some reason I had 10 pounds to sell, and then 11 pounds, and then the next week I had 6 pounds to sell, and so I put it in a smaller box so it still looks full. People really like that feeling of abundance, that they're picking from abundance. And that's even something you can do if you're at market yourself, rather than selling it through somebody who's retailing it. If it's sold down and people can't see what's in the box necessarily anymore, or the container, so switch out to another basket size, a smaller basket or box size, and then transfer the produce into that smaller size, because then it still looks like there's an abundance. The one thing that doesn't follow that rule is, like, at the end of the day, if it looks like people haven't been buying from stuff and you've got everything all pumped up and full, sometimes people are like, why nobody else is buying from this? I wonder what's wrong with it. Like, maybe that is kind of a high price, or they'll kind of wonder what's wrong. But I will, like, if I've had boxes of apples, I'll remove apples from one side of it, because it looks picked over, and people tend to buy from something that other customers are buying from. Most people are real social buyers. So anyway, that's something to think about. Don't look too pumped up at the end of the day. I don't know if that's all I have to say about peas, but those are the few things I know about peas.
We had to postpone our trip up the Stikine River to Telegraph in Canada. Instead, we took a couple of day trips up the river in our skiff. On one of those trips, we ended up seeing this glorious iceberg which had flipped over. I'll share a video of that trip next week.
He's just an icicle.